Yeah, we're coming to you live from WRUE in Tennessee. It's the Scribbling Woman.
Hi, I'm Nancy Rue. I am a scribbling woman, and so are you. That's why we're having this conversation. Here, we talk about the writerly life that is unique to you, no matter your age, your season, or where you are in your creative journey. You are now an official scribbly, so let's talk. I hope you have your play clothes on and your toys around you, because today in episode 31, we're continuing our series on cultivating delight in the writerly life. But first, a story. This year, I independently released the first 2 books in the Footnotes collection, some novels for contemporary women. After a long career publishing with traditional houses, everything was new. I was on a learning curve steeper than a San Francisco street. I wanted to throw up. Now, I had the best help with editing and formatting and designing. Editor Barbie Haley and designer Cherie Lasoda at Authors Assembler were brilliant. Everything was professionally ready for me to launch on Amazon and Ingram Spark. I still wanted to throw up. And then, oddly, I remembered Sesame Street. You watched it, didn't you? Or your kids did? Or you tuned in on the regular in college? No, seriously, at my university, students would gather 3 deep in the commons between classes in the morning just to get their Kermit and Miss Piggy fix. Did you know that Ernie singing Rubber Ducky made the top 40 in 1970? I am not even kidding you. Sesame Street was such a blast on so many levels, it was sometimes easy to miss the fact that it was all about learning. Every episode was brought to you by a number and a letter and I think a color, yeah? The count was always counting all the things. Big Bird was always worried about something that created the teachable moment. Oscar the Grouch showed us that even the crankiest among us can be loved. Sesame Street is the reason that our daughter learned to read at age 4. I mean, aside from the genetic brilliance, of course, but really, and that was because of 2 things. 1, children just innately love to learn. And 2, learning happens best when there's joy in it. Not the forced kind. Nobody fell for fun with fractions at the top of that worksheet or that book, Adventures in Geography. We're talking about the true enjoyment that comes with exploring what we need to know and want to know and discovering what we can do. So today, we're going to look at how to recapture some of that love for learning in our writerly lives. And it's essential that we do that. If we stop taking in new knowledge and expanding our skills, it all becomes stagnant. Our writing doesn't grow, and neither do we. So I figured out 4 steps to get you started. And then you can take these and apply them to your own individual writing life, because this is unique to you. So number 1, uncover what gets in the way of learning what we need to know in order to add to our art supplies. Several obstacles come to my mind, bohos, if you will. Remember the big old hairy obstacles? Let's start with, we feel stupid because we don't already know how to do it. Once again, shame is an acronym for should have already mastered everything. The people I turn to for help now are all younger than I am, and it takes effort not to feel like a clueless old lady. Yet, why would I, a baby boomer, know what digital natives are practically born knowing? Another obstacle. We're afraid we won't be able to learn it. And that's because the way things like, let's say, self-publishing and marketing are presented can be absolutely overwhelming. Panic sets in for me when I'm faced with jargon that might as well be in Swahili. What the Sam Hill is bleeding edge? What does it mean to boil the ocean? And I'm sorry, PCP, CRM, CTA, Elemental P, can no one speak in complete words? Now, one of the biggie obstacles is that we got a message somewhere that we aren't quite smart enough, or tech savvy enough, or creative enough, or blonde enough. You fill in the blank, and you can see how ridiculous that is because nobody is everything. Now, just a footnote before we continue, the flip side is that we can be tempted to use learning as a way to avoid putting our ideas into story form. Being a conference junkie, reading every new writing book that comes out, taking yet another online course, but never really applying any of that material. Maybe if I just learned some more, I might be able to do this naturally. So that's why the next 3 steps are so important, because they require us to take what we learn and run with it right across the page. So our second step is make a bucket list of what you really need to learn. And let it be as inviting as that list that you made, like spending spring in Paris and riding in a race car with Mario Andretti. Look at it this way, okay? What speed bump always seems to slow down your creative process? What gap just yawns like a big old abyss in your work all the time? What makes it hard to keep writing? Now, it may be a matter of mechanics. Just this year, after 125 books, I was taught how to create an M dash and shown the proper spacing for an ellipse. Who knew? It was absolutely life-changing. Perhaps there's some part of story shaping that always trips you up. You have a tough time describing setting. You don't like to make characters suffer. Your novel is remarkably plot-free. Or maybe your learning curve gets steep in the area of reader reaching. What social media platforms would be most effective? How do you set up a newsletter? I'm in the process of putting together a book trailer. The mountain I have to climb is so high, I literally get nosebleeds. Or it may just be that something about the writerly life baffles you, how to carve out writing space, how to think of yourself as a real writer, how to deal with people who say you're wasting your time. Once you've made that list, then choose one item from the list, just one for now. You can repeat the following steps after you get this one done. All right, so here is step 3. Explore how to learn that like Ernie and Bert. I recommend thinking of this kind of learning as adding to your art supplies. In the Scribbling Women, we used to call some of our workshops expanding your toolkit, but that started to feel kind of mechanical. Not that things like perfect pens and the most delicious notebooks and the upgraded computer aren't necessary for fun too, but you see the difference, right? Now we call it adding to our art supplies. Now, think like the creators of Sesame Street. Let's use an example. Let's say you've realized the setting in your current story is totally generic. The weather never changes. The reader won't be able to smell anything. You know you need specificity, but you've yet to find a workshop or a course that shows you how to do any of that. If you think like Sesame Street, then you'll start hanging out outside, like maybe hugging trees, picking up stuff and putting it in your pockets like you did when you were a kid. Play a game with yourself. If you discover 5 specific things that you hadn't noticed before, you get a prize. I highly recommend a square of Lily's extra dark chocolate myself. Make or pull from your collection of blank books. You do have one, right? Every writer does. And use one of them as a journal and fill it with haiku and observations and small treasures. It's way better than depending on AI. Take your characters for a walk with you and ask what they observe, because what the accountant is going to see will be different from what the salsa dancer takes in. If your story doesn't take place in a natural setting, go to some place that resembles the setting in your story, the interiors. And if it's a fantasy, create a map and steal pieces from your kid's board game to represent your characters living there. Okay, the same goes if flat secondary characters are an issue. Do things they would do. Like, I don't know, ride a bus, have a kebab from a food truck, strut through Neiman Marcus like you can afford to shop there. Now, you might think it's challenging to approach grammar and punctuation like children's television network, but don't you remember Grammar Rock and Junction, junction, what's your function? It's one of my favorite songs. I couldn't get it out of my head when my child was growing up. You can make a color-coded document showing the comma usage that you stumble over. This works a treat for dialogue punctuation, which eludes about 50% of writers, just so you don't feel like the Lone Ranger. Create jingles to remind yourself. Don't use any semicolons. You might think you know how, but no one does. Okay, you get the idea, right? Make it fun. Make it delicious. Finally, if learning something on your own makes you feel like you have to take a calculus course when you barely passed Algebra 1, teaching yourself isn't going to cut it. So find the most fun help that you can. First, avoid anyone who says something like, "You don't know how to do this? I thought everybody did. It's so easy." Yeah, that makes me want to smack somebody. Avoid anyone who starts off using lingo that completely eludes you. Do you want a drop cap here? How about a glyph? I'm sorry, what? Basically, anyone who is likely to roll their eyes at you or poke fun at your ignorance. Instead, look for someone who has taught people things before, because it's one thing to know how to do something and another to be able to show somebody else how to do it. A real teacher can break things down into steps. That's what we want. You want someone who's really jazzed about helping you. No heavy sighs or, "Hey, just here's some links you can look at." You need a person. And you want that person to have a sense of humor, who can say, "Okay, that's not working out, but hey, how about this? Okay, put this hat on." And somebody who's willing to listen to you say, "Look, if this isn't fun, forget about it." And this also applies to any workshop leader, online instructors, YouTube presenters, as well as the individuals that are willing to help you. I watch book marketing videos by Method Agency. Those two young women love what they do. They have such a passion and they know how to take it step by step. You're allowed to start stupid and end up feeling really smart. Right now, I'm working with Scribbly Sarah Greek on my book trailer. And while they are not shy about saying, "Yeah, it's not going to work," they make discovering what will work kind of like going on an Easter egg hunt. You can't force any of this. Some things are not delightful to master. I would quit publishing altogether if I had to learn how to format a manuscript. How does anyone truly develop the skill of experience rejection without feeling like they've been kicked in the stomach? And grammar rock notwithstanding, commas are pesky gnats, you know. Finding joy in learning is about allowing the learning curve to take you on an awesome hike, letting it lead you into unexpected caves and new-to-you sidewalk cafes, trusting it to bring you to new heights of creativity and joy.